Network. The whole point of my talk show is to show you that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities to never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be, so prove them and stand out to something.
My name is Chadrick Whitmire. I was just interviewed by Keith Andrew, and the thing just went great. He's definitely somebody to watch out for.
So the very first question I want to say to you is welcome to the KeithAndrewNetwork. It is an honor and privilege having you on the show today for episode 973.
Awesome, thank you.
No, the honor is all mine, and I'm looking the honor. I was going to say the honor is yours, but the honor is all mine. But with that being said, it's PG-13, but it is freedom of speech, self-expression, and you do have the right to express yourself and say anything you want. But the one thing I want to say, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe to the Keith Andrew Network. Make sure to leave a comment so I know you're watching. This will be aired on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and of course, Facebook. So that being said, it's going to be shared on all social medias, but doing a little plug for that. But the one thing I do want to say, the one thing I will add, is the opinion of the hosts and guests do not reflect the brand. The brand is about entertainment. So we're bringing entertainment to the world. So like I said, freedom of speech, self-expression. Now the first thing I want to say to you is you are a CEO of your own company. You're a writer, a director, and a producer. And those are the questions I want to hit on. So the first one I want to ask you is who influenced you to become a professional owner of your own company?
I would have to say it all started back when I was a kid. I wanted to be an actor, and I just loved Burt Reynolds. And I used to run around saying, I'm Burt Menards, I'm Burt Menards. And that was always something that I wanted to do growing up. So when I started doing theater in high school and community theater, I fell into it kind of like that. But I took a long thing away and didn't start back really till 2020. But Burt Reynolds was definitely, growing up, he was an inspiration for me.
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny, the picture that I actually made for you, and you looked like, and the people see the introduction, unfortunately, there's the passing of one of the greatest Power Rangers ever, and he isn't just a legend in Power Rangers. He did MMA. I'm not a big fan of MMA, but I'm not going to go into detail. Not a big fan of MMA, but he wasn't just, okay, let's do an acting role. Or he wasn't just a plain actor. He did Power Rangers for 30 years, and he branched out to different types of media. I don't think he was on TV shows, but he was on different cameos. He's a great guy. I never got a chance to meet him. But he is the guy for Power Rangers. And for people who want to know, Jason David Frank, got to start on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. He did MMA. He was a great fighter. And the reason I bring it up is the picture that I made for you. You look similar to Jason David Frank. So that's, I think it's really funny you guys look the same.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for saying that.
But with that being said, were you a fan of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers?
Honestly, I watched it when I was a kid, and I loved it. I haven't seen it since probably Dino Thunder. I used to watch it with my little brother, but I was always a fan. I never really, like I said, watched it as I got older, but probably when I was till I was 17.
No, absolutely. Everyone said how bad in season 1, season 2 were. And as a kid, you were 5, you're 4, you're 6, you really don't care. But looking back at it, it's kind of like, holy shit, it really is bad. One of the lines, they're fighting a clown. And he said, "You're going down, clown." I was like, okay, that's corny. But Oh, some seasons of Power Rangers were really good. SPD was really good.
Yes.
Um, I think Light Speed and Lost Galaxy. Oh, and Power Rangers in Space because it had a story to it, and you got involved in it. So the question I want to ask you, because you are a writer, has there ever been any characters that you created that you really, not say invested your time, but you really got attached to?
Um, I'm going to start by saying that I made my first short film. Wasn't the best short film, but it was called Barnes Funeral Home, and I kind of got attached to the main, not the actual girl that played her, but that girl Anna.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the big thing about being a writer is you invest so much time into these characters and they become like living, breathing life people to you. And when you have to put them away or kill them off, and it's kind of depressing.
Hmm. Yeah, that was my little baby, for a little while. But basically, to tell you the truth, I tried DPing. I tried being a director. I tried, and of course, I wrote it. But I tried all these things at one time, and then I learned that okay, I'm not a DP. I am a director, but I'm not a DP, and that's why the movie didn't turn out too great because I just didn't know what I was doing.
It's trial by fire. Either you're gonna burn very bright, or you're gonna be bright and go out like that. But it's one of those expressions. You don't want to be an overnight sensation. You don't want to shoot off like a rocket, because the faster you go up, it's the faster you gotta come down to reality. You can go up, say, "This is amazing. I have people. I have paparazzi. I have this," and next thing you know, next day, who are you? What did you have? What have you done recently? And so it's always better, and I found out, build a solid foundation and build up. Because overnight sensations are flavor of the month, get your 15 minutes of fame. Yeah, it's great, but it doesn't really last.
Yeah.
But it should inspire you.
Yes. I I love doing what I do, and it when I made Barnes Funeral Home, I said, well, I definitely need to find a director of photography the next time I try and do this. Although the next time I was gonna do Changing Malcolm, and me and Alex were gonna make it, but we were lucky. He found a friend of his named Chris, or Hollywood Fizz, as he's known, uh, to DP it for us. And we were just ecstatic because we knew it was going to be good.
You did bring up a lot of interesting questions, and actually, I do want to talk about them, but we can get to that. But I'm looking at this question. As I mentioned in the beginning, you're a writer, owner, producer. It's kind of like similar to what I do. So there's four questions I just threw at you, and I do apologize. But the reason I did that, it's the same question for the four of them. As you mentioned, you were a writer and producer, so let's start with those two. What's difficult about being a writer and a producer for you?
Okay, what's difficult for me being a writer is procrastination. It's one of those things where I'm like, I'll write tomorrow, and then put all the stops up. Uh, but that's been that hinders your writing when you try and procrastinate all the time. But I'm doing better now. I'm actually finishing right before I'm about 4 pages away from finishing my first feature. And then being a producer, what's hard about is just getting everybody together trying to do things on different people's time and then get everybody together. Because with Barnes Funeral Home, we had like, I want to say like nine actors. I want to say 8 or 9 actors. I don't really remember, to be honest with you. But I went to a house in Warm Springs, Georgia, this really big, nice house, and we filmed there. So trying to get everybody there, and I basically gave everybody 6 months to make arrangements. So that's the difficult part about being a producer more than anything is scheduling, I would say.
And what are some of your favorite actresses that you got the chance to work with, or actors for that matter?
Okay. Bill Moseley is my all-time favorite actor, as well as Crispin Glover. And if I could work with either one of them, I would just be to the moon and back, And then female actresses, I really don't know. I like the lady. You've seen 2.5 Men, right?
Yeah.
So Jake's mom, Alan's ex-wife, Maren Hinkle, I think is her name. I would like to work with her just because I love just her attitude on the show.
Absolutely. And I actually, on Facebook, easily will pop up a lot. Two Broke Girls, and I love Maxine. She's one of my favorites.
Yes. Kat Dennings, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I like her too. I like her and Charlie Bartlett.
Oh, see the blonde one, right?
No, Kat Dennings is the dark-haired girl, and she's in a movie called Charlie Bartlett. Came out a few years back. It's been a little while, but I really like that movie.
No, absolutely. Now, being a owner and finding and producing everything on your own, what was the biggest obstacle you were faced with, and how did you overcome it?
The very first movie I made, again, Barnes Funeral Home, I invested a good bit of money into it, but I also raised some money on Indiegogo. What was the question? I'm so sorry.
What was the biggest obstacle you were faced with, and how did you overcome it?
It was funding for Barnes Funeral Home, and then it was all right for Changing Malcolm because we really didn't have to fund much. But then once we got into adding other people, that was an obstacle. And I like to pay a little bit, as much as I can. I like to pay my actors and crew.
Now, this one's perfect for you because you're a producer. How do you know when you delivered a high-quality performance?
How do I know what now?
How do you know when you delivered a high-quality performance?
When I've delivered a high-quality performance? Like the other actors? Is that what you mean?
Well, that is an acting question, yes, but you are a writer and producer. So as you're producing it, how do you know if this is really high-quality stuff?
Oh, well, I'm my worst critic. So everything I write, I think is bad. But just when I hear other people like that read my scripts, or like Alex and other actors that have been in my stuff, I know that it's pretty good when I get that from other people, because I'll say no, that's terrible, but I'll try my best, and then I'll have somebody read it, and then I guess more along the lines of validation.
No, absolutely. Now we're going to go back to the writing side. I'm going to ask you the top 8 questions. First one I want to ask you is, as a writer, what experience do you have in leading other people?
In reading other people?
Oh, leading
other people. I started doing it with Barnes Funeral Home. I've had various, jobs in the past where I was a manager, so I know how to delegate people.
No, perfect answer. And what are some of your values that you have as a writer?
As a writer, I had originally made Barnes Funeral Home more edgy, I guess you could say. And then once I met with my cast and everything, I changed some stuff around. And if if I were to write something for somebody, I'm not holding back. But when I write for myself, there's some things, pretty much. I wrote very bad stuff in one of the Malcolms, and then me and Alex talked about it, and I was like, yeah, you're right. He wouldn't do that kind of thing. But so I have values for the most part, but some I just write, man. It's just whatever comes to my mind. I sit down at my computer and I just write.
Yeah, it's funny. You can write for for me. I will. Well, to be honest, I consider myself the anti-hero. I'm not a good guy. I'm not a bad guy. I think being the anti-hero is more fun. Do you agree
Yeah.
or disagree?
No, it is. But the script I'm writing now, right before we start talking, um, it's just wild. It's called The Butcher, and it basically stars uh, a guy named Hartley and a guy named Sticks, and it's a small town crime organization with elements of horror in it because they've got a guy with a chainsaw that don't mind chopping up the body.
Oh, there is a big horror audience, so I think you will get a great cast and a great fan base on that. But the next one I want to ask you is, what is the most rewarding part of being a writer, producer, and director?
All right, the most rewarding part is number one when everybody likes what I've done. I love that feeling when somebody says that's great. Um, but like I said, I love doing it.
And what about being a producer? What is the most rewarding part?
Seeing everything finished. Once everything is done and over with, and normally a Malcolm episode takes us about 6 hours to make, and once it gets once we get done with that, that's great. But like once it's edited and I see it and I'm like, wow, everybody did great. I'm proud of everybody, and I'm just happy that it just came together like it did. And I've been lucky enough on all these sets that I've had that everything's ran smoothly because me, Johnny Ray Jr., and Alex Javo, we all get along so well, and we mesh very well together creatively.
Well, just throwing it out there. Next time you guys have a film, you're more than welcome to a group interview. I would love to promote it and have all of you on the show.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure they would be up for that. That'd be awesome.
Now, the question I wanted to ask you is the same exact question. What's the most rewarding part? But again, it's a writing question, but I take the writer out and put any other name there. So, as a director, and for me, picking certain people, like, yeah, they look good. This one may look gorgeous, but can they produce? Can they project themselves? And the most rewarding part for me, doing an interview, it's feeling the chemistry and having a great conversation. So as
Hmm.
you're a director and you're picking certain people, you don't know these people for a hole in the wall, and I can relate to that. But as a director, what is the most rewarding part?
As a director, the most rewarding part is probably the most rewarding part of directing for me is being able to see these people the way they are in reality, and then seeing them transition into the character. That's the most rewarding part. When I'm like, because the last Malcolm I made, I met this girl, and then She was cool, you know. I get along with everybody, and I was like, you know, this is nice. And she sat down and they did a run through real quick of the scene, and I was like blown away. So to see them go from themselves, because that tells you they're good actors and actresses, because you can get I get zoned in. So when I'm sitting looking at the monitor, I was like, wow, this is amazing. So seeing that transition into the acting aspect than just being their selves.
No, I agree. Now, how do you build a character? Now, for an example, if you were going to write something for me, or if you were going to direct something, how would you build me if I was a character?
Uh, the way I started out is I kind of I just sit down and start writing. I know I keep saying that, but that's what I do. And I normally come up with a couple characters and then let them feed off of each other. So that's how I kind of start doing that. So I would just be like, okay, let me think of this guy's name, and then go from there. Go from the name, because you want somebody to look like the name. You don't want to name somebody something off the wall and not know where you're going with it.
No, obviously, because you set yourself up for failure like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like when they express and throw shit against the wall, see what sticks. But all that's doing you're just wasting time.
Yeah.
So next one I want to ask you is everything that you accomplished in your acting career. Sorry, not acting career. That's an acting question. Everything that you accomplished in your writing, directing, and producing, have you progressed as you wanted to?
Yes. 100%. Like I said, I went from Barnes Funeral Home, and then I went into writing what was supposed to be a short film, Changing Malcolm, that turned into being a web series.
And the last one I want to ask you for the writing subject is what are you excited about?
I'm really excited to get this first feature of mine finished writing, or I'm just ecstatic because I'm so there. And I'm very excited about me and Alex starting the feature for Malcolm next week. That's what I'm really excited about.
No, absolutely. Now, it's the last 8 minutes. I'm going to pass it over to you, but I want to ask you a hard hitting question. You can be brutally honest. When I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, what made you say yes? How do you feel now? And would you recommend it to other people? Passing the show over to you.
I would definitely recommend it to other people. I watched your interview with Matt Tangeman. He's a friend of mine, actually. And I was like, this is awesome. I mean, you're on it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't feel like, basically, I knew I could tell you were really serious about what you do by the way you talk to me. So that's what made me feel a lot better about doing it. But I've done a few of them, you know, here and there. I'll do podcasts and video podcasts. I don't do them. I haven't done them a whole lot lately. But when you asked me, I was like, yeah, awesome. And like you said, you know, you'll meet a new friend, and that's always a good thing.
No, absolutely. You know, there's so many people that the reason I do this is because I'm socially awkward and I like making new friends, and this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. But when you have a conversation, 50, let's see, 50-50 of the time, you gotta find someone who's like, okay, they're taking this real, they're taking this seriously, they're not bullshitting with you, and I'm giving all my time and effort and energy into this. They're doing the same thing. It's a great conversation. And there's other ones that sit back or, you know, and it has make stupid faces, or later on they would say, well, you know, my agent did say, and my publicist did say, your ex lot of stupid questions, and it's hurting my career. Am I? Did you tell that I have a disability? No. Did you tell them that you signed a permission form? No. Did you promote the episode because you weren't getting any views? No. So it's kind of like the time I got up to 5 and I was like, "Then why the hell are you here?"
Yeah.
It's kind of like, am I a joke to you? It's like I felt like the guy from Goodfellas. Am I a clown? Do I amuse you? Do I make you laugh? I'm just trying to make you laugh, but seriously, it's kind of like if you're not gonna take this seriously. I mean, yeah, the Keith Andrew Network, we're here, tell jokes, tell funny stories, say anything, and talk about anything you want. And it's just, it has to be interactive. I'm giving you the format. It's a normal conversation, and it's going to be mutual. I get something out of it, you get out of it. It's kind of like if you're not getting anything out of it, then you throw it back and say, it's my fault.
No, I understand what you're saying. And some people can be assholes. I mean, that's the tough world we live in. But me as a person, I do take this seriously. And like I said, from talking to you and chatting with you, I knew you did. So there wasn't a question, did I want to do this or not?
No, absolutely. Now, let's last a couple of minutes. I'm going to pass it over to you. I have no cards up my sleeve. What would you like to promote and act and talk about? This is your time.
Okay. Pretty much, I would like to promote, which is we have now 5 episodes of the Malcolm series. You can go to YouTube and go to Alex Javo, Alex, Javo, and look at every one of them. There's Changing Malcolm, Chasing Malcolm, Catching Malcolm, Confessing Malcolm, and then Creating Malcolm Volume 1. So I very much want everybody to go out and watch those because they are really good. And they're definitely really good once you start getting into the second one. It seems like people have told me they really like the first one, but it's got one guy, Alex, and he's talking to the voice in his head, basically. But when we started adding other characters, everybody started, really enjoying it. So I really suggest to definitely watch from 1 and watch all the way to 5. And we're going to make a couple more of them early this coming year. And then about mid-year, 2023, we're going to do we're going to make the feature. So that's really, what I've got with that. And I'm finishing up with my first draft of my first feature I've ever written. I've never written anything pretty much over 7-8 pages. And to be as far into it as I am, I'm really proud of myself. I'm not gloating about it, but it's an accomplishment for me. And it's been fun. It's taken me a few months, but it's been fun doing this and writing my first feature. So I'm going to definitely throw out, check out Alex Javo on YouTube. Check out his Facebook. He's Michael or Malcolm, because when Malcolm's pretty much controlled, his name's Malcolm, and then his name in real life is Mike, and he's played by Alex Javo. And it's just been a blast. After the very first Malcolm we made, we did get another DP because the first one, he wasn't available. He had a lot of things going on. And I was so happy that a friend of mine connected me with Johnny Ray Jr. And we just been pretty much killing it ever since we got together. And like I said, there's no bickering or anything like that. We all see the creativity. I see Alex's point of view. I see Johnny Ray's point of view. And they see mine, and we work very well together.
Absolutely. Now, wrapping up our talk show, I do have a couple questions for you off the air, but if you're watching on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook, our goal is to if you want to see a part 2, our goal is to reach over 100 views. I would love to interact with you, and our guests would love to interact with you as well, so you can follow him on all social medias. and leave a comment on all the platforms to definitely interact with the hosts and guests. But with that being said, it was a real honor and privilege having you as a guest, and until we meet again, catch you later. Thank you, and have a good night.